All right, hopefully I'm visible as well. Good morning, everyone. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Thank you so much for being here today. We have guests joining us from all over Ghana, and in fact, all over the world, from places as far as Bangladesh and Southern California. We are so happy to have you all with us today. And on behalf of BIGD, I'd like to thank our fantastic partners, Innovations for Poverty Action. Today, I will be sharing the WEE-DiFine and WeConnect initiatives and the research that we're generating. And we are at the BRAC Institute of Governance and Development at BRAC University. Next slide, please. Great, thank you. Now, WEE-DiFine and WeConnect are research initiatives that aim to generate comprehensive bodies of evidence on the intersection of digital financial services and women's economic empowerment in the case of WEE-DiFine, and digital inclusion more broadly, and social and economic empowerment in the case of WeConnect. Both of our initiatives fund rigorous research on these topics, guided by our initiative white papers, which not only synthesize peer-reviewed and gray literature, but also present our own intellectual frameworks. And we have a geographical focus in South Asia, Southeast Asia, and of course, Sub-Saharan Africa. Next. There are a few factors that make the WEE-DiFine and WeConnect initiatives a little bit different than most development economics donors. We are in fact based in the Global South in Dhaka, Bangladesh. We also help teams prepare competitive proposals. For example, we offer one-on-one coaching calls, both technical and financial. We incubate high potential proposals, and we offer feedback calls to all proposals, irrespective of how far they advance in our process. Both initiatives have also established best case practices with regard to inclusive funding in the development economics research space. And of course, we support both quantitative and qualitative studies, and we champion the merits of mixed methods approaches. Next. Over the past 5 years, we've released 6 calls for proposals, and we currently have a portfolio of 35 studies in 11 countries. This portfolio is valued at $4 million, and we're not done. We're still working on funding more studies. Our portfolio is well posed to speak to a variety of themes that we'll discuss over the next 2 days, but I wanted to give you a sneak peek on just 3 that will be discussed together. Firstly, as you will probably see in our academic program, WEE-DiFine and WeConnect speak to innovative means of measuring women's economic empowerment. We'll also take a look at the short and long-term impacts of smartphone distribution programs. And lastly, we're learning a lot about the merits of cash versus mobile money. Next. I mentioned that we really prize best case practices with regard to inclusive research. We seek to level the competitive playing field for academics that are often excluded in this process. And to this effect, I'm proud to share these statistics. 86% of our studies include a female academic, and 71% include an academic from the study's country of focus as a lead PI. 69% include an early career academic, and importantly, 43% of our recipient institutions, meaning the institutions receiving funding, are either headquartered or incorporated in the Global South. Next. I'll shift gears a little bit and give you just a sneak peek in terms of what we'll be learning over the next 2 days together. As you'll see in our program, we have a session focused on the conceptualization and measurement of women's economic empowerment, which we know is absolutely critical to develop standard metrics to benchmark WE across contexts. But what we're learning from our portfolio is that sometimes standardized metrics may miss very important cultural nuance. We'll hear from researchers in Uganda, rural Uganda, that increased decision-making power, which is often very positively associated with women's economic empowerment, actually had a negative correlation. As women took on more responsibility, had more decision-making power, they actually felt more stressed and thereby less empowered. Also, traditional measures do not capture the fluid nature of Ugandan households, whereby many individuals are in flux, they come and go throughout the home. Thereby, individual pressures on a given woman change over time, thus influencing her economic decisions. The takeaway here is that quantitative WE tools should be rooted in a deep understanding of contextual realities, and thorough and thoughtful qualitative research is an effective way to do this. Next, please. In another study, researchers in Bangladesh found that survey question framing can actually lead to significant bias in estimated relationships. More specifically, researchers found that when a statement about digital financial services was simply worded in a positive tone, individuals had a statistically significant increase in their trust levels regarding digital financial products. The converse was true as well. The exact same statement, when negatively framed, actually resulted in lower trust levels regarding digital financial services. The takeaway here is that randomizing statement framing across respondents can help account for framing bias in quantitative estimates, including the many questions that we use to develop WEE indices. Next, please. The WEE-DiFine initiative is proud to support, to our awareness, the only two long-run impact evaluations of smartphone distribution programs. And we have researchers from both studies here today. They will tell you more, but as just a very sneak peek, in the short run, it appears that smartphone distribution programs can be a promising approach to increasing women's access to DFS. We'll see that in India, researchers found that the SKY program reversed gender gaps in device ownership in the very short run, and even started to shift very sticky gender norms regarding women's phone use. We'll see that in Malawi, a smartphone distribution program in tandem with training on DFS, either as an individual woman or a woman with her spouse, significantly improved women's connectivity and financial inclusion when compared to women who simply received an unconditional cash transfer valued at the same amount as the smartphone. Next, please. The longer term is a little more complicated, as we'll see. In short, addressing smartphone access and affordability constraints is simply not enough to close gender gaps in phone ownership, access, and use. So in India, researchers found that men quickly made use of these phones, and after 5 years, researchers observed minimal impacts on important indicators such as women's phone ownership and use, and of course, gender norms. However, in Malawi, after about 3 years, women who received smartphones plus were trained as an individual, as opposed to with her spouse, actually significantly improved their digital capabilities when compared to women who simply received the cash transfer and women who received a smartphone plus training with her spouse. In short, researchers found that in the latter two groups, benefits actually primarily accrued to men once again. Next slide, please. So what this means in tandem is that programs designed to increase women's meaningful access to devices have to go further than simply getting smartphones in women's hands and keeping them there. We have to start to meaningfully address barriers such as digital literacy, financial literacy, and of course, gender norms. Secondly, digitally empowering women through direct and individualized approaches, as opposed to more indirect approaches or more collaborative approaches with a spouse, may in fact be more impactful in the long run for promoting digital inclusion amongst women. Next. We're also learning a lot about cash versus mobile money, which is increasingly important as a number of institutions seek to shift from cash to digital, particularly in the global south. In Bangladesh, researchers found that female domestic workers, when they received digital wages and mobile money training, improved on a variety of economic indicators, such as wages earned, hours worked, and their knowledge of mobile money. In Uganda, researchers found that transfers via mobile money were more effective than cash transfers at improving women's decision-making power and independence. However, joint cash transfers, meaning the spouse was also aware of the cash transfers, were more effective at reducing intimate partner violence. These results suggest that there may exist a very important trade-off in benefits regarding these two modalities. Next, please. Lastly, in Tanzania, researchers found that switching from cash to mobile money for loan repayments, again, improved a variety of outcome indicators for women, including their comfort with DFS, their use of DFS for other types of transactions, and importantly, their levels of economic empowerment within their households. When we take these findings together, we can ascertain that mobile money, when compared to cash, can advance women's economic empowerment, primarily through the mechanisms of improving a woman's decision-making power and financial control. Researchers may note that privacy is not a mechanism listed here, and many of our researchers, particularly tomorrow afternoon, will address this particular mechanism through their research. That said, there are some very important caveats. DFS training is crucial, and preliminary evidence suggests that a certain level of existing familiarity with these products may actually be a prerequisite for women to benefit from many of these types of interventions. And importantly, as we're hearing a lot today already, it's imperative that as we increasingly shift over to digital, that we're taking careful measures to safeguard and protect women who may be vulnerable in the process. Next, please. Looking forward over the next 2 days, I am so excited to be able to engage with you and also for you to have the opportunity to engage directly with our researchers who are conducting this fantastic research and learning these insights. More broadly, the WE initiatives are looking forward to bringing to you this calendar year a synthesis paper sharing what we're learning at a portfolio level. More broadly, we'll continue bringing dissemination events to you, both in person and digitally. And of course, for the researchers in the room, this may be of particular interest. WE-DiFine is shifting over to a rolling expression of interest process, so you can apply for WE-DiFine funding on a timeline that suits your work. Next, please. Thank you.